Good evening once again, and welcome to the Ref's Opinion. I nearly said the Monday Review Show, but it is, of course, the Ref's Opinion. And we are a little bit late, which is my fault because I'm not very IT literate when it comes to these things. So we're all ready to go, and I pressed a button and I sent Keith into outer space. You must be the first Englishman in outer space, I think, Keith. But anyway, welcome, Keith, and thanks very much for your patience. This is the show where we talk about all things refereeing, and my goodness, it's been grabbing the headlines this last week. But we do talk all things refereeing, from yellow cards to red cards, and we've had a few of those decisions given, some not given, and VAR, which has become a hugely hot topic. And I've had people like Keith on the phone to him, also on the phone to me, and people sending us texts and emails and WhatsApp messages. What the hell is going on? Well, this is the show where we try and help you as former referees to try and solve it. And I must give Keith his full title. Keith is a former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, and he's been to a few World Cups as well. Former head of the PGMOL, and those are the guys who look after the referees in the Premier League and in the Championship. And also Keith is responsible for introducing goal line technology, which has proved a huge success, unlike VAR, which still has its controversies. But anyway, thanks again, Keith, for joining me. It is Monday night. If you have anything to say, or you'd like to ask a question, or you'd like to make a comment on any of the things that we're going to be discussing in the next 30 minutes, please do so. There's a little thing on the right-hand side of your screen there, and you can make your comments there, and Keith and I will certainly answer your questions and your queries for you. Now, probably, Keith, you and I will be certainly on the same, as they say, hymn sheet. Probably the game, or rather the incident that dominated at the weekend, was the Liverpool versus Manchester City game. Now, it was pretty uneventful. It was toing and froing, and you and I, we don't get into the tactics and who's putting pressure on who, but we do get into the refereeing issues. And the major one was right at the end, when there was a controversial, shall I say, goal disallowed, should have been allowed. Many people will have different opinions on it, but you and I are here to give what the law says, and then perhaps touch on Law 18, only 17 laws, of course, but Law 18, common sense, and it seems lacking in this case. And I'm talking about the goal, the third goal that was scored, but then disallowed, and VAR stepped in, and all kinds of things happen. Do you want to take it from there, Keith?
Yeah, sure. What we had was a long ball played upfield towards the Liverpool goal. And Haaland of Manchester City gained possession of the ball, started to run towards his opponent's goal. He was fouled outside the penalty area, about 10 yards outside the penalty area. He was fouled. Craig Pawson, the referee, allowed play to continue. So at that point, in my opinion, he's applied an advantage. We don't know from television whether a shout of advantage was came out of his mouth, but he allowed play to continue.
Just to clarify that, Keith, the advantage is not a law per se. It's the referee's option to allow play to continue. So some people have been saying, oh, he should have allowed the advantage law. There is no law per se. It's an advantage by the referee.
Yeah, probably one of the reasons that they make reference to that is that in under Law 12, just like cautionable offences or direct free kick offences, it actually now has a section on advantage.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to that because I think that's an important aspect.
Absolutely.
So then what happens is you've now got the two players with the ball running towards goal. The two players clash inside the penalty area, near the inside, literally just outside the goal area to the right-hand side. And this time it's the Manchester City player, Haaland, who in fact is holding on to the Liverpool defender. And the ball now enters the net. Craig Pawson, I think, points upfield. And there's Mayer. I think what I need to say at this point is that if we take the law as it's written in black and white, then there has been a denial. An advantage has been applied. The ball is in the back of the net. Like Craig Pawson, I'm giving the goal at that point. So VAR now intervenes. And you have to ask, why has he intervened? So has he intervened and wants the play to go back to the point where Haaland was fouled? Surely not, because the ball's in the back of the net. So the outcome is, he then made a decision, in my opinion, that the foul that Haaland has committed on the Liverpool player has prevented the Liverpool player from being able to stop the ball entering the net. He may have thought, or his view or opinion may be, that that player has had the opportunity, the Liverpool, to clear the ball had that Haaland foul not taken place. So now the confusion exists because eventually Pawson goes back and reissues a red card to the Liverpool player. He restarts the game with a free kick to Liverpool inside their own penalty area. I'm scratching my head here. And at that point, the law effectively, that restart, and that's always important in refereeing, and I want to get that point over. When you restart the game, you've got to be restarting the game accurately. And it's so important because it could be an indirect free kick, could be a direct free kick. So that is important. So I can only assume at this point that the goal has been ruled out for what I consider the foul committed by initially the Liverpool player, but they've gone back and gone, it's now denial, red card. So there's an error in that whole aspect. So now I want to take you to the law on advantage, because the law states advantage. However, if the offence was denying the opposing team an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, the player is cautioned for unsporting behaviour. And this has been completely missed. And I've listened, in fairness to Mark Elsie raised this and has spoken about it in the similar terms. So I believe the outcome is that Liverpool, if they look at the law and they can confirm that Craig Pawson applied an advantage, and that's not denied by Craig Pawson, then the red card should be rescinded. There you go. That's That's the need to know and understand the laws of the game.
Yeah.
And anybody can look, Law 12, there's a subsection on advantage, and you can read what I have just said.
Now, see, common sense here seemed to have gone out the window. Because, yes, advantage, Holland was fouled first. He kept going, he's a big, strong lad. He kept going. He then proceeded to foul, where's my notes? Sobersley.
Yeah.
Fouled him. So where Holland was fouled first and the ball is still rolling towards the goal, he then fouls Sobersley. And as I said, the ball keeps rolling and eventually crosses the line. Why surely, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, Keith, because I'm getting this in both ears. So I said I'd discuss it tonight. Why didn't Craig Pawson just use a bit of common sense, let the ball go into the net and award the goal? And he wouldn't have had any need to give a red card.
Well, in fairness to Craig Pawson, I think that's what he did initially. And now, again, I want, we can all reference, we can go to the website of the International Football Association Board. And if we don't look at 1 to 17, but look at the opening paragraphs, they talk about the spirit of the game and the application of common sense. All I have heard today from all people within the game, people with great experience, broadcasters with great experience, not the ones that fly with the wind and want the points, or the ones that are sensible. I'll take Henry Winter, who I read and highly respect his words because, they paint pictures, but he also has an opinion. And even Henry Winter is critical of this decision. So I think the expectation of football was that this goal should have stood. It's 2-1. Let me tell you now, there's been a furore around this decision of that goal being ruled out and a Liverpool player being sent off. I've heard the refereeing side justify the red card. And I say to them, am I wrong? I've just read the advantage clause in the laws of the game, Law 12, and it says in this situation, denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity in this situation, it would be a cautionable offence, unsporting behaviour. So I just view, look, I just go back to being the boss of the PGMOL, and I think generally Pawson refereed this game quite well by his standards. He had a good game by his standards. I'm not suggesting that his standards are near to Michael Oliver's, because I thought Oliver's performance in another game was outstanding. So for me, I think that common sense is part of officiating. And Pawson here has had the common sense to not penalise that first offence on Haaland, allow the game to flow, and the ball has gone into the back of the net. And I'm saying, VAR is in my ear. I'm saying get lost. I don't want to know. I'm the referee here. Like Farah Halam a couple of weeks ago when he was asked to go, and he showed the courage that we want from referees.
Yeah.
An understanding of the game. What is the expectation? Now, I know that some of our listeners will be saying, Keith, let's revert to law. Well, okay, I'll revert to law. I'm making an assessment as to the reason why they determined that Haaland's foul required sanction. they must have, in that situation, believed that that defender had the opportunity to stop the ball going into the back of the net. That's the only reason VAR would come back. Because we've gone back to the denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity and red carded a player when the ball is in the back of the net.
Yeah.
How can he have denied a goal-scoring opportunity? So that's negated it. I mean, I just think that this was. It's easy to say, isn't it? It would be easy for me to come on and say, "Yeah, they got it right. They applied the law." Good referees use this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
You know,
difference.
yeah. And it's not as if there was a crowd of players around. There was nobody because the Liverpool goalkeeper was up playing centre forward.
Yeah.
So it was a race between Szoboszlai and Haaland.
Yeah.
And Haaland is a big, strong lad and extremely fit. He was almost won, but there was only the two players there. So I don't know how the referee couldn't see that it was a 50-50, one pulled and then the other pulled. But the main thing is there was a goal-scoring opportunity there, which eventually materialized because the ball went across the line. So anything that happened previous to that, you can say it's advantage. But he
Correct.
waited, and I think Craig, in fairness to him, should have been a little bit stronger and should have said to VAR, no, I gave an advantage, the advantage materialized, goal is given, end of story. And then there wouldn't have been any need for the red card.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm saying that because of the advantage, as I've read it, and as I'm currently understanding, then the referee has the option to apply a yellow card because he's applied an advantage.
Just got a couple of comments here. Sean Block is a regular contributor. Sean says, let me put it on the screen for you as well, Keith. If advantage does not materialize, doesn't the dog so red still apply? I'm wondering if the downgrade with advantage is when the advantage does not materialize. And then he goes on. He goes on to say something else here. Where is it now?
Yep.
I do like the game flow. I think football and the players would want the goal versus send off plus free kick.
Yeah, I think I think that the reason I'm suggesting that it should not be a red card is because advantage has materialized, and I'm suggesting that the ball has gone into the back of the net. I'm hoping that the IFAB, by the way, will, as I used to do with the PGMOL when I was boss, seeks to clarify this incident and not just say, our referees and match officials got it absolutely right. Just confirm, if that is the case, why the PGMOL consider that this was the correct decision.
Yeah.
And what part of law substantiates that?
Yeah. Here's another comment from Gav Mungy. He says, I genuinely don't think the Liverpool player was ever close to getting the ball. VAR for me has forced the ref on this.
Yeah.
I'm sure you and I agree. They tend to rely too much on VAR.
I like that comment. That comment is what I agree with. I was trying to do. I was trying to give a reason as to why the goal was ruled out and why a free kick had been given. And the only reason I think you give a free kick in that situation if they consider that the player hasn't got a chance of getting the ball. So for me, I agree. I think, I just stick with the view that my view is I'm going to give the goal.
Yeah, I would have given the goal too. Maybe we're
Yeah.
old school, Keith, and the problem today is that there are too many changes and what's the word? They're just redefining the whole thing and making it far more complicated than it needs to be. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think that when, I go back, when I introduced communication kits, when I introduced goal line technology that you reference every week, I wanted to ensure that they were beneficial to the match official without undue interference. I think everybody in the game, other than those that appear to be the IFAB and FIFA, people like Howard Webb, are justifying VAR. And I think what we've got is we've actually got robotic refereeing by someone at Stockley Park that is not anywhere near the game by way of feel, passion, and everything that's good in the game. And I think it's gone the other way. I think VAR is indulging and interfering and affecting negatively the performance of match officials. I think they've got a monkey on the back and it's interfering with their ability to referee.
Yeah.
It's I look at Michael Oliver. I'd be critical of Oliver, but I look at him and I watch carefully. He does not allow VAR to interfere with his decision making.
Nor should he, Keith. Nor should he. Like Farah Hallam last week or the week before, when he ignored. Well, he told VAR what to do with themselves. I'm not accepting your decision. This is my decision, and that's what needs to be done. But many of the referees now today appear to be using VAR as a crutch to get themselves out of a crisis and not make the decisions that they should be making.
I think, I hate to say this, but we've got one or two very good referees in the Premier League, but we've got a lot of dross.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of people who should not be in that situation. I'm sure we've got younger referees. Hallam has come through. I watched him referee Swansea, Sheffield Wednesday, and I watched closely. I'm a Wednesday fan. We're in trouble, deep trouble. But I thought to myself, this is a relatively easy game for a referee. Relatively easy for him, for sure. His focus, his attention, his concentration was excellent. And he put in the same level of effort as he did when he refereed a Premier League game. So for me, that's the type of referee that I want to see on the league. I want to see referees coming through. I noticed recently a referee that I admire, Sam Barrett. I don't think he's refereeing as well now as he was when he first came on. And I think the influence of VAR is an over-indulgent interference. And therefore, I'm moving to a point where I don't want VAR. Tell me if there's a handball like Thierry Henry. Tell me if, I don't need VAR to tell me whether it's a goal or no goal because I've got goal line technology. I want to know at this moment in time what benefits we are seeing in English refereeing in the Premier League with the introduction of VAR. And I have to say, I'm not convinced at this moment in time it's anywhere near what the game expected. And I don't mean that everything's got to be 100% correct. But I want to know why John Brooks sat in a seat at Stockley Park with no feel of the game, suddenly interferes when the score has moved from 2-1 to 3-1. I'm telling you, if this had been a draw at this point and Manchester City had scored the second goal and winning goal, had this been a winning goal, then all hell would have let loose.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and I just think, I look around and I think VAR is definitely interfering in a negative manner with the performance, the overall performance of referees. And you mentioned it.
Yeah, sorry, Keith. Here's from Don Harris. Don's a regular contributor as well. Why is it that referees are so worried about VAR? Are we heading for AI-controlled matches overseen by VAR? Well, Don, you mightn't be far off the truth there. What do you think, Keith?
Well, I think that until we get a panel of specialist VAR operators and we define, we define clearly what is clear and obvious, right? We don't come in. and I think, you know, I can remember Kalina saying at some point, it's when somebody gets a bloody nose that you suddenly want to come in and inspect the decision. And I think we're getting glances and it's almost like, I've got to come in. And then what happens is, instead of having a dialogue like we're having, which should say, what can we learn from this particular incident? What if we get a similar incident in the future? Are we now going to discourage referees from playing on an advantage on a denial where they've got the advantage to come back 3 or 4 seconds, they can go back, or going to say, right, stop the game then, red card, and not have the controversy?
Yeah.
But I believe the game was restarted incorrectly.
Yeah. There was an incident in the Newcastle-Brentford game where a penalty was not given to Brentford when there was clearly pulling of the shirt inside the penalty area. I mean, how could the referee say, I saw that and nothing's wrong? And if he didn't see it, then he should have gone to VAR, because that's where that would give him clarification.
Yeah, I mean, it was a straightforward penalty kick decision.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And there's a guy who comments for BBC as though he's a referee expert. I don't know how many games he's refereed, but he starts talking the old garbage of almost stating, not in the words that I'm saying, but in implying the same, that the holding wasn't sufficient. It wasn't like impacting on the player. Law 12, holding is an offence. And therefore, This was a penalty kick and may well have been a denial.
Just the last comments come in here, and this is the first time from Garth Wayne Rennie. He said, live, must love your show. You don't miss a Monday night. No, we don't, Garth. We don't miss a Monday night, and we do try and get kickoff spot on at 8 o'clock. But tonight I had gremlins crept in, and we had to rewire and rejig everything. But we got the show back on the road, and we are on, as you say, every Monday night, 8 o'clock, facebook.com/Hanging Judge Ref, now being called The Ref's Opinion. No longer the Monday Review Show. It's now called The Ref's Opinion. Again, Keith, time has run away for us. And thanks, Garth, Don, Sean, and who was the other one? Gav. Thank you guys for making comments. Thank you, Keith, for joining me tonight. And we'll do the same again next Monday night, same time, 8 o'clock, same channel. Until then, Good night, and thank you for looking.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.